morning everyone, hope you're doing okay. It's back Monday again. The weekend went really quickly and so we're back here. We're quite lucky because we've got a light calendar, that's great. Tomorrow we've got quite a lot on the calendar. We've got RBA, so imagine that Aussie is going to be fairly bouncy. We've got the PMI from the Eurozone, Spain, Italy, Germany and the Eurozone as a whole. Pound, the UK and the dollar has got the PMI as well, so it's a very busy day tomorrow, and because of that I think these currencies are going to be fairly tricky, especially the majors, the pound USD, the euro pound, and also potentially the euro, the euro dollar, and because of that data. And furthermore, the reason why that's going to be quite difficult is the sentiment. You look at the bubbles of those currencies that I mentioned, they're all strong sell. So they're long pound, dollar, euro and yen. They're also long gold. But they're not only long, but they're adding to that bias over time. So these are going to be tricky to trade, because what you want to try and do is do strong versus weak, not weak versus weak. You haven't got a strong bias. So any one of these combinations, they're going to be tricky. So the euro yen will be tricky, and the pound yen will be tricky. The euro dollar, the pound dollar will be tricky. So ideally maybe look to buy dips on Aussie. That would be maybe a stronger indication. But we've got RBA, so it's going to be a tricky one, unless you probably maybe scalp those currencies today potentially. Don't look for like swing positions, just try and get a good entry and see how you go. So bubbles are a little bit tricky this week, well this morning anyway. This is like very likely going to change over time. It all depends on retail herd positioning, so I'll have to wait and see. So we've got a calendar, light calendar, but very busy tomorrow, and we know that the bubbles are going to be quite choppy there, those combinations, those majors. And we'll look at the COT data. Now the COT data for the Euro USD is indicating potentially a sell. See, the euro and the dollar, they're diverging. Can you see that divergence? So that could be a Euro USD short signal, especially if it continues next week. If this continues down, we might breach those lows again. So that could be quite bearish for the Euro USD. We'll look at the pound. If you remember, the pound was very sideways. Keep euro on, actually, and we'll look at the pound. Still sideways. So that is interesting. Aussie. Aussie is sort of sideways. It ticked up slightly like the USD, but can you see? So that would be a mixed signal for the Aussie USD, because they went long Aussie and they went long dollar. So the Aussie USD is going to be tricky. And we know that we're fairly risk on as well because the VIX and the retail herd sentiment. Maybe look at CAD, maybe up. So that's bullish. And we don't want to put too much on, otherwise it will just get a bit too messy. Kiwi they sold. So the Kiwi CAD is crossing. See that grey and the blue? So that could be a Kiwi CAD short. So have a look at a Kiwi CAD potentially, and obviously you'd want to do small sizes, obviously, because if you're not used to that particular pair, you've got to get used to its nuances and the way it behaves. But that could potentially be a Kiwi CAD position there potentially. And we'll look at the yen as well, and we'll see how that's done. And they really dumped yen, so that would indicate risk on, because the yen is obviously one of the biggest safe havens that you can get. So there's that move. So there's the Aussie yen buy signal there. Maybe you might have caught that. So yeah, that's that. So the yen they dumped, and if they continue to dump, then we'll break that low. Minus 107,000 contracts, minus 102,000. So only 5,000 more contracts, we break that low, and that's going to really dump. So it's more pain for the yen, and you can see a little bit of upside for the USD. So the UJ could be a good buy based on that. They really like dumped the yen. They went quite long, fairly long USD. So maybe this might be useful. I'm not sure about the pound. The pound is very mysterious right now. Maybe it's just undecided. The BOE aren't signalling enough information, forward guidance. I don't know, but they're slightly unusual. And perhaps I just like wait and see. That's probably what they're doing there. So keep an eye on that. In the end, they're definitely dumped, so that could be signalling risk on. And Euro USD could be a good short, but if we're going to be risk on, that might act. It might perform well potentially. So that is of interest. So hopefully that's useful for you. And I'll be back tomorrow, and I'll try and get some good videos about the FXCM client sentiment, because I'm trying to get you guys on board on that terminal because it's absolutely amazing. So I'm going to try and advertise that a little bit and show you how powerful it is. So have a good day, and I'll be back tomorrow with that video about the FXCM client sentiment.